Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of the Judiciary and License Committee on Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. We've called to order. The second order of business is citizen comments. If you've got an item on the agenda, you don't have to come up now. You can come up when that item comes up. Are there any other people here who wish to make citizen comments? Yes, ma'am. Come up, please come up to her and give us your name and address. Come up to the podium, lectern. Stauber, yes.
My name is Elizabeth Dewar, and then my address?
Yeah.
801 East Kelshed Street, and I'm here on behalf of my boss, Leonard, for the spot. Do I need to say anything? Oh, we were unaware that one of our employees had 2 citations and he did not let us know, so he was let go of this morning when we found out the information. So I'm here on behalf of my boss.
Okay, so have you got the information on that person to give to the clerk?
I have the 1 citation. They weren't able to release the other one to me.
All right, hold on 1 second here. Jessica, what do we have?
We don't need anything from her.
We don't need anything from her?
No.
Oh, except the name of the person who was.
I know the person.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for apprising us of that situation. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the approval of the January 16th, 2024 minutes. They're in your packet. What's your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Varsho, second by Spiros to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, this isn't like an airliner. You don't have in-seat service, so, okay. Okay. The motion stands approved. The next item is the appeal of a snow removal charge for property located at 801 South Lincoln Avenue. I think, sir, that's your address?
Yes.
Yeah, could you come to the podium or can somebody help him with that? Oh, there you go. You're Mr. Halloran, correct? Okay, thank you. Mr. Halloran, the floor is yours.
Right there, now you're good.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Don Halloran, 801 South Lincoln, Marshfield.
Yes, sir. And you've written a letter to us for asking for removal of snow sidewalk fees that you were charged you were assessed for?
Right, I sent the letter in. I think there's enough extenuating circumstances, including our ages and the fact that the people that usually do the clearing didn't do it. My wife did clear a reasonable walking path. You have a picture of that. And then somebody put in a complaint and the city came and widened it out and then sent that bill. I thought the bill was a little bit steep. I know they're following their own guidelines, but I'm looking for a little bit of consideration or relief from that bill. I could have, if they gave me a phone call, as I mentioned in the letter, I could have called a private, plowing person, and they usually charge $40-50 for a simple clearing like that. So it's all in the letter.
Okay, and I just had a chance to go over the letter. You haven't engaged any handyman services or anything like that to help you out with that?
Yes, I have 2 neighbors that usually do it. As I said in the letter, one neighbor went to Florida clear, and the other one he didn't do the clearing. And my wife did clear the path, and I probably should have called him and asked him to do it. However, he just probably forgot to do it.
Okay.
But if the city had given me a phone call or put a tag on my door and said, clear your sidewalk, I would have called my neighbor, and then I would have called whoever, the people that do clearing like that. So that's our status.
Public Works, do you have a comment to make?
What's that?
Public Works. Excuse me? Okay. Ms. Spiros, 1 minute. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I guess I would just like to remind this committee that the state statute requires the Board of Public Works to assign these duties. The street division has been directed to fulfill the city municipal code, to enforce the municipal code, to reduce the risk on behalf of the city. The code enforcement should be considered equal to any and all that this committee enforces and decides on.
Can you tell me why the Board of Public Works wasn't acting on this?
The Board of Public Works writes the municipal code that then gives the street superintendent the responsibility to conduct the clearing to sidewalks that don't have, or the homeowner does not clear it within the 48-hour guideline.
Okay, so essentially your people went out and widened it after you received a complaint.
Yep.
And the bill, and it's $160. I see was $165.
Yes.
Yep.
Is that a standard fee, or is that
Yeah,
our time and materials?
So within that municipal code, the Board of Public Works has determined the rate for clearing the sidewalk, for each crosswalk, and administration fee. All 3 charges are within the municipal code.
Ms. Spiros.
I'd like to make a motion just to dismiss the charge due to extenuating circumstances related to the resident's age and his 40 years of living in that area without complaints. I believe he's aware now that he may not be able to count on his neighbor 100%, and he'll remedy that in the future.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Second by Mr. Varsho. Discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor to dispense with the charge of $165 on Mr. Halloran's property. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, I think you'll inform Public Works. You can handle whatever you have to do administratively for that. Okay. All right. Anybody else on that? If not, we'll move on to the next thing.
I wanted to thank you for considering my situation, and I didn't actually hear what the committee's decision was.
They're going to dispense with the charge.
They're going to what?
We're going to dismiss the charge for you.
Dismiss it.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and I'll keep a closer look on it as I have in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up is the 2023 place of last drink report. Chief, is that yours?
I can actually start with that, if that's okay. I can start with that.
Okay, why don't you
The
go ahead and
chief
start
is
with it.
welcome to chime in if he has additional thoughts to add. Really, this report is just informational. There are no repercussions that can be assessed based on this report. This report is put together by several agencies that are working together across the state to try to reduce drinking and driving charges in OWIs. So essentially, when someone is pulled over and cited with an OWI, they ask that offender, where was the last place you were? That information is compiled and put together in this report. As you'll see, the largest offender this year had 5 reports of that, and down the list, so that was the highest, and then there was one with 3 and a couple with 2. Once again, it's purely informational, and it's used for education purposes and informing the bars just to be cautioned and to maybe follow up with their staff on reminder of identifying those signs.
The chair will entertain a motion to accept and place it on file. Motion by Spiros, second by Varsho.
Yes.
Discussion?
Mr.
Go ahead, please.
Jody, is this just for everything? Oh, this is after midnight?
No, this is actually after OWI arrest. We, part of our questions is that we just asked them where they were prior to being arrested.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's also sort of a voluntary thing. They don't have to tell you where the last drink was. Is that correct?
It's absolutely voluntary, and we don't do anything to verify what they told us. So we're taking them at their word. And what we're looking for is really just to see if we're getting consistent answers at one place, and that might give us a flag to where we can go back to that place and just offer them some different educational things to help try to make the streets safer every night.
Okay, thank you. We have any more discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And next up, update on December 8th, 2023 compliance checks and consideration at request of police chief for determination of demerit points pursuant to municipal code 934 sub 11. Sorry. Who's got that? Jody, that you
I
too?
think that one's going to be mine. Yep, I think that one's going to be mine.
Okay.
So on December 8th, we did do another compliance check with all 37 establishments in the city, and 10 businesses unfortunately did fail that compliance check this time. 2 of those also failed December 10th of 2022 compliance check. Those 2 establishments were the Spot Bar and Grill located at 500 North Central and Poor Choices at 114 East 14th Street. Due to the more than one violation within a year, I guess the recommended points assessment would be 80, 25 for failed compliance check for this would be for the Spot, I'm sorry. 25 would be for the failed compliance check on December 10th, 22. There was 5 points for a separate incident, which happened on July 7th, and then 50 more for the second failed compliance check. Then for Poor Choices, 75 points would be recommended, 25 for the failed compliance check in 2022, and then 50 for the most current one in 2023. Then in addition, and Jessica, I guess you could stop me if we need to talk about the bartender.
We do still need to assess those for the bartender, yes.
Okay, the bartender, this would be the bartender which was working at the Spot Bar, which I think was referenced in our public comment earlier. This would be 30 points, be 5 points for the July 7th incident in which he was bartending and there were people being served after bar close. And then 25 points for the 2023 failed compliance. So I asked the committee to consider assessing those points due to those violations.
Do we have a motion? I know we need to discuss this, but I want to get something on the floor.
I'll move to assess those points.
Motion by Varsho, second by Spiros. Okay, going for discussion. I see you had a furrowed brow.
So, if either of these 2 bars have another incident within the next 12 months, they are in danger of losing their license, correct?
By code, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
A bar is allowed 100 points against their license, and a beverage operator is allowed 50 points against their license.
Any other questions or clarifications?
No, I just.
I've got one thing I'd like to add if I'm able to.
Go ahead, Jody.
I'm away at training, which is why I have to appear by Zoom, but I was able to retrieve a phone call from Leonard Kaczynski, who owns a Spot Bar and Grill. And he did bring up a good point where I believe that it probably falls in the police department, where our system isn't as refined as it should be yet. And he evidently was not made aware of the violations that his bartender did. And in public comment, we learned that he did swiftly relieve that bartender of his duties, which is what he told me he would have done had he known earlier, which would have maybe prevented further violations since then. So I guess I would just ask that you consider that with the Spot Bar, that the license holder may not have known of the violations at that time. At least he was not informed, at least by the police department. I don't know if that falls on us or the city clerk, but we are going to work that out in the future.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so I have a question. So I'm looking at the dates. Was the bartender the same bartender, though, that stayed open late on, okay, so I see those dates are the same. So on July 7th, I'm assuming Dustin was the bartender. So he got cited for staying open late. The bar also got cited for staying open late. However, it was just a 5-point violation. And do we know where the other compliance checks involving that same bartender?
We don't. Unfortunately, the December 10th of 2022, we were not able to identify the bartender that sold to the minors. That can happen for a variety of reasons. I'm not sure what happened this time. Sometimes the individuals who we have to go attempt to purchase simply can't identify the bartender that was serving them. So we don't know who served the first time. However, Mr. Craning was involved in the other two incidents, the one in July and then the one this year.
Okay. Yeah, that's a bummer. I can see both, I can see both sides. He's like, hey, I wouldn't have had this bartender around for that 50-point second failed compliance check on December 8th had I known, but I don't know who can take responsibility for that, or if that's, something that we can just, forgive on that sort of situation. I mean, we don't know where these bartenders work. That's the problem. Their bartender's license allows them to go work wherever they want. We don't keep track of where they're working.
Okay, yeah, could you address that, please?
I can address some of that. Just from the police reports, and Jody sort of touched on this already, the July 7th after hours violation, the bar was aware of that one. That one was pending a court trial. The individual had requested that be actually taken to trial before they pled on that case, and then didn't fail to appear for court in December. So that one actually didn't close out until December. Actually, I think the day before the compliance check was completed. And as far as that communication, that is like the chief said, that's something that he and I are working with. I actually spoke with an officer today and the court clerk today, so that we can make sure we refine the process on these Chapter 125 violations. Because as you notice in statute and in code, you do have to have 2 violations of that 125 in 2 years. So that was sort of a breakdown in communication that really in July, we could have considered assessing points to the spot already for the 2 violations of 125. On the recommendation of the city attorney, I probably would have still waited until December, because it's his opinion that if we have the window of opportunity, we should wait for that conviction before we bring that forward, in case that trial does go in favor of that individual.
Yeah, I get that. The other thing I'm a little disappointed with, and to be honest with, is, I mean, if I were the agent for the Spot Sports Bar and Grill or Poor Choices, I probably would show up to this meeting and explain, how they're going to remediate this happening in the future. Something like that would go a long way, I believe.
You got it.
I can address that a little bit as well.
Perfect.
Part of the process for the assessment, the recommendation of the assessment of points is that we do notify that we'll be doing that. I can't do that until the agenda is almost complete and ready to go. So they did receive the letter letting them know we would discuss it. It does also outline that if we assess the points and they would like to dispute that they can ask for a reconsideration hearing at a future meeting. So.
Got you. And just for my clarification, if I still have the floor, so it's 100 points for a bar and 50 points for an individual.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Without objection, you are the agent for that, right? Okay, would it be helpful to hear from her at this time?
But sure, I mean, if she will.
Sure, if you want to get up to the bathroom again.
I mean, if he's put basically what I'm looking for is, has he put any new policies in place or anything like that to stop this from, I mean, after hours serving is a pretty easy thing to stop, in my opinion, or it should be like immediate termination if he catches you doing it after, but that's just my personal opinion and I don't run a bar, but.
Yeah, for the after hour thing, Dusty was supposed to show up and represent himself, but then ended up not showing up. For serving anybody under 21, it's automatic termination. But he did not let us be aware that he served someone under 21 years old. So my boss got a letter in the mail and he had prior commitments today, so he had me come in to represent the spot today.
Has he put out any new policies to the staff, just in general, like, anything that might cover this sort of stuff?
We have a thing on the door that says no one under the age of 21 is allowed in the bar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And he also put in new cameras. So we have one on the porch. I think 4 new cameras on outside or inside, and then another one that kind of faces the road.
Okay.
So at least 6 new cameras put in that record.
And do you have a manager there at night when I'm assuming he's not always there, clearly, but.
I kind of am in charge of everybody.
Okay.
Getting back to him, but Dusty did not let us know that he had a charge. And so when I asked everybody, no one said anything. So I went to the police department to get that record, and it showed that he served someone under 21. So
perfect.
We let him go.
Yeah. Thank you for your due diligence in finding that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. That brings us to the items for future agendas. Anybody got anything?
No.
Nada. Okay. Okay, and with that, we will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Nelson J.